Millions of people on the streets of Iran. What started as a protest against the rigged presidential elections in June 2009 quickly escalated into a more fundamental challenge to the theocratic regime as a whole. The funeral of Ayatollah Montazeri in December was a flashpoint. The angry crowd answered the official slogans with their own, "Death to the dictator." And they don't just mean the president, Ahmadinejad. Many Iranians are now reaching out for a different society, and one that's far more radical than a US-imposed regime change from above. Barack Obama's US still threatens Iran, either with direct military strikes or the so-called soft war option of new sanctions. The horrific example of Iraq, though, has shown that both these options devastate lives. First and foremost, those of ordinary working people. Hands of the People of Iran stands in solidarity with these working people and is organizing a week of action to highlight their brave fight. From the 13th of February to the 20th, the campaign aims to raise at least £1,000 for struggling Iranian workers. Ben Lewis is one of the main organizers.
The Hopi Week of Action is looking to pull in as many of our supporters and members across the country as we possibly can, looking to initiate local protests, actions, petitioning, street stalls and fundraisers. Anything that comrades can do in order to support this, whether it's a local meal or something more ambitious, will be greatly welcomed in order to raise as much money as we can for our comrades in Iran.
Hopi activists in Ireland and other European countries will also be organising solidarity actions.
In Ireland, we set up Hands Off People of Iran 2 years ago. We've been active since then, and we've got a lot of support from people, including trade unionists, and some politicians in Ireland have supported the campaign. For our week of action, we'll be having some meetings. We're having a meeting on the New Left in Iran, in its history and its relevance for today, and also we'll be having some street stalls and some fundraising activities, but the details of that we're going to sort out over the next few days.
For the Manchester event, we've got already ASLEF sponsoring the meeting. We need to do a lot more. We need to get.
The organisers hope that more trade union branches and anti-war activists will soon confirm their support.
The week is commencing with a fundraising event in Manchester on the 13th, which will see a day school commemorating the Iranian Revolution, followed by a fundraising event. Throughout the week then and across the country, comrades will be initiating local solidarity actions, whether that takes the form of a meal or a street stall or a fundraiser. And then it'll all be ending up on the 20th with a fundraiser in London, which will see another gig following on from the one we did in August, which raised about £1,000. There'll be another gig in East London, drawing in as many of our supporters as possible.
Mark Fisher explains the politics behind the Week of Action.
The events in Iran since June and the presidential elections, the mass upsurge from that society have brilliantly confirmed the basic approach of Hopi. That is, against any imperialist intervention in that region and in Iran specifically, but also in support, in solidarity with the grassroots movements of democratization and social progress that come from below. The people who so bravely went onto the streets of cities like Tehran clearly have two enemies. Yes, the immediate enemy of their government, the theocratic regime, barbarous as that is, but also against the main enemy of the world's working class and peoples in general, i.e. imperialism.
Yasemin Martha explains the significance of February in the Iranian political calendar.
The month of February is the anniversary of the Iranian Revolution of 1979. There will be many demonstrations during that month. This year it will coincide with the 40th day of the death of Montazeri. So there will be protests coinciding with that. And of course, for the left, there is also, the month of February is also the anniversary of Siah Kal and various other events that marked the times before the February 79 revolution. So there will be large demonstrations in Iran. We are at a very crucial time for the protests. The reformists keep talking of the radicalization of the movement. The protests we are organizing will address the issue of large sections of the population who are workers, students, young people, who are protesting against the entire regime, not just the elections, not just one faction of the regime. And for that reason, we have to raise the voice of these tens of thousands who go on demonstrations, now the reformists admit they are a large section of the protest movement, and yet the foreign press and the media keeps concentrating on the Green movement and its leaders. So we hope the week of action that we will have in England, in Scotland, maybe also in Ireland, will raise the issues that the workers are raising, the economic problems they face, the non-payment of wages, the repression that the working class is facing, the demands of the women's movement, many of which haven't been addressed by the reformists. Women want total separation of state and religion. They've made that demand very clear. We will be raising those demands. We will support the students who are now boycotting exams in addition to demonstrations, protests, against the arrest of their fellow students. So it's going to be a very busy week for us, but we hope that it will draw attention towards these issues.